Shota Mania postponed the other day, and we'll have to wait until next week to see Shota Imanaga pitch for the Cubs. The Cubs drop a heartbreaker yesterday against the Cardinals. We get into how that game unfolded and how the Cubs lead slipped away yet again. The Iowa Cubs are red hot thanks to a lot of big league players currently in the minor leagues. Could we be seeing any of those guys come up to the big league soon? That and more on this edition of the Cubs Baseball Channel. Make sure to hit the bell, like, and subscribe. Get in the comment section. Give us a thumbs up. That's a great way of saying go Cubs go. Unfortunately, we can't fly the W yesterday, but today we look to get right back on track. What do you say, everybody? I'm Anthony Pasquale on Twitter at ant_Pasquale3. No Mick tonight. He's at a little concert celebrating. So we're going to get right into it here. The Cubs, unfortunately, drop another one in similar fashion. Have a lead, give it up late, but this one stings all the more because it's against the St. Louis Cardinals, who grabbed game one of the season series and the current series because of the rain out the other night. 7-6 our final. An up and down game that we'll get into, but want to get into this a little bit. Shota Mania was supposed to take center stage in St. Louis for Friday night's game. Instead, the rain postponed it, so everybody just assumed Shota Imanaga would get the start last night against the Cardinals, but instead the Cubs announced that they're going to go with Jameson Taillon and Javier Assad, who are regularly scheduled for Saturday and Sunday. Then you thought, okay, Shota will go Monday. Wrong. Justin Steele's going to pitch Monday. Then we're going to get Ben Brown on Tuesday and Shota Imanaga on Wednesday, kind of giving him just a complete skip in the rotation all the way up until next Wednesday when his next start would have been scheduled. And everybody, I'm sure, is worried. Is Shota Imanaga hurt? Are they trying to precautionary measures to keep him out of harm's way? What's the deal? Because we need this guy on the mound. The Cubs are 8-1 when this guy pitches, and it's been pretty ugly lately when Shota has not been on the mound. But the Cubs announced that he's fine, he's healthy. It's just an effort to keep him available and fresh as the season continues. It's a longer season than he's used to in Japan, and it's also a season where he's expected to pitch every fifth day instead of every sixth day. So the Cubs are probably going to do this every once in a while, just give him a full day off here and there, or I guess skip his start here and there. But it's in an effort to keep him healthy and fresh down the stretch and hopefully into some postseason baseball. But getting into yesterday's game, if the Cubs keep letting games like this slip away, I don't know if there's going to be postseason baseball. The Cubs gave up 2 runs in the bottom of the third inning, and then in the top of the fourth, they tack on 3 thanks to a Nico Hoerner 2-run double, and they hold a 3-2 lead. Jameson Taillon goes 6 innings of 3-run ball, a quality start for Taillon. And it's tied 3-3 heading into the 7th. The Cubs grab one in the top of the 7th to make it 4-3. And in the 8th, you get your best pitcher on the mound, Leiter Jr., and you feel pretty good about it. Can't blame Mark Leiter Jr. too much for the loss yesterday because he's been so excellent this season. He's been tough as nails, and when the Cubs need 3 outs, he's been the guy to provide it. Unfortunately, yesterday, he was not. But as you look into this 8th inning that the Cardinals exploded for 4 runs, Mark Leiter Jr. came on and had the first 2 batters reach. Then he recorded an out, and that's when things kind of got a little bit ugly. Matt Carpenter pinch hit for the Cardinals, who is a known Cub killer, and he lined a single with 1 out that drove in the game-tying run. But here's the thing. Seiya Suzuki fielded the ball in shallow right field. It was, I believe, Alec Burleson, pretty big guy, that was trying to score from second base, and by far not the fastest guy on the field. Seiya Suzuki got the ball in shallow right field and threw a 3-hopper that lost all its steam to the plate. The ball still beat Burleson, Amaya fielded it right of home plate, dove to his left, and the tag was just a hair late as Burleson got his hand underneath the tag. I think Seiya Suzuki might not be the defender I thought he was. You cannot have a big leaguer have a throw come up that short in such a big moment. If that throws on the money, the Cubs win the ball game 4-3. Like, that's just the fact of the matter. You have probably Seiya Suzuki's your fifth best outfielder defensively. Cody Bellinger's better. Mike Tauchman's better. Ian Happ is better. Pete Armstrong is currently in the minor leagues, and we're going to get to that later. He's better defensively. Seiya Suzuki gets that ball in shallow right field. I'm watching the game thinking this throw is going to beat him. And it still does, even though it was a crappy throw, but it wasn't enough. An average throw gets him. A good throw, he's out by a mile. A great throw, it looks like a terrible decision to send the runner home. Instead, that tied things up at 4. The floodgates kind of opened. There was a 2-run single on a softly hit ball right after, and then a triple that drove in another run. The Cardinals tack on 4 in the 8th to take an 8-4 lead, or excuse me, a 7-4 lead. The Cubs did add 2 in the top of the 9th and had runners at the corners with 2 outs for Christopher Morel with a chance to give the Cubs the tie or potentially the lead, but he ended up bouncing out to second base, and the Cubs fall 7-6. It's a game that it hurts so bad to lose because we've heard this story before. We've told this story before. It's just beyond frustrating to keep losing games in this fashion against teams in your division, against teams in your league. But I don't think anything quite matches up to the hurt of blowing the game against the Cardinals at Busch Stadium. Cubs lose it 7-6. There were a few bright spots. Cody Bellinger had a pair of hits. Nico Hoerner had a pair of hits. So did Mike Tauchman. Michael Busch got off the schneid a little bit with a hit. It's frustrating for the Cubs. The offense has been bad. We said this the other day. The Cubs have the worst team average in baseball since April 27th. They scored 6 runs, and it really felt like an offensive breakout, but they still left 7 guys on base. You look at the 9th, 1st and 3rd, couldn't get that last run home. If you look at the top of the 8th, the Cubs were threatening and couldn't get the job done. This game could have gone differently in a lot of ways. If Mark Leiter Jr. was sharper, the Cubs win. If the throw from right field from Seiya Suzuki was better, the Cubs win. If the Cubs cash in on more runners in scoring position, the Cubs win. So it's hard to kind of place blame on any one person or one facet directly. But the fact of the matter is the Cubs as a team continue to keep coming up short. They've lost 3 in a row. They've also lost 3 series in a row. It's tough sledding for this Cubs team who you expected that once they finally got healthy and got Steele back and Suzuki back and Bellinger back and Hoerner back and Swanson back, that they'd finally start hitting and gelling and coming back together and winning ball games. Unfortunately, it just hasn't looked like that yet. Hopefully, the tides can turn even as soon as tonight as the Cubs take on the Cardinals again on Sunday Night Baseball. We'll get into that just a minute. But it's been tough sledding, hard to watch, very frustrating baseball to watch these Cubs play. But maybe there's some help on the way. The iCubs outfield of Brennan Davis, Alexander Canario, and Pete Armstrong have been demolishing pitching and leading the Iowa Cubs to some very exciting wins. We'll start with Pete Armstrong, who I think it was an unserious travesty that Pete Armstrong was sent back to the minor leagues. He's currently the only guy that I think is a game changer, and he's the guy that you choose to send back down to Iowa. And if it's because you want him to get regular at-bats, give them to him in the big leagues. You need that guy on your team. The speed, the defense, the newfound power. He's a complete player that you want to see at the big league level. And he keeps hitting. He's had 4 straight multi-hit games in Iowa. 2 nights ago, he received 2 pitches up and in, and then turned on the 3rd pitch, deposited it into the seats, had a little bat flip. Yesterday, he had a bunt hit, stole a base, drew an error, and came around to score without another player having to lift a finger. He's electric, and that's a guy you want in the big leagues. But it's not just him. Brennan Davis, we talked about it last week, had, I think, 5 homers in 6 games and 7 homers in 8 games, was banged up with an injury, came back yesterday for the Iowa Cubs and lined a 2-run double in his first at-bat off the wall, almost another homer. And there's Alexander Canario, who is scorching hot, hitting .400 over the last 9 games with 6 home runs. He just keeps blasting the ball too. And you look at the Cubs' current outfield on the big league team, Ian Happ is 10 for his last 54. Mike Tauchman is 6 for his last 25. Cody Bellinger, 3 for his last 25. Seiya Suzuki, 3 for his last 23. Those numbers aren't cutting it. And right now, those guys are like 2, 3, and 5 in your lineup. That's not good enough. And when you have these guys in the minor leagues on your 40-man roster who are absolutely raking, you do whatever you can to get those guys bats into the lineup. And I expect the Cubs to have a little bit of roster shakeup within the next week, especially if the offense keeps struggling and the Iowa Cubs offense keeps blowing up, because I don't care who isn't hitting, but if there's somebody who is hitting, they need to be in the big league lineup, because this team needs to score runs and get back in the win column. One way they might do that is with Ben Brown back in the rotation. It looks like the next wave of 5 starters, he's going to go, I believe, on Tuesday against the Milwaukee Brewers. So we talked about it the other day when he started. He was good, stretched out. Looks like he should be in the starting rotation. He will be through this next wave, and he might just take that 5th starter position with Jordan Wicks still injured and with Kyle Hendricks in the bullpen. The other interesting move, Drew Smyly is back in the big leagues. Jose Cuas was optioned to Iowa, and the Cubs activated Drew Smyly off the injured list. So they now have another left-hander to join Luke Little in the Cubs bullpen. Didn't see him yesterday, but I'm sure we will see him soon. Cubs play tonight, Sunday Night Baseball against the Cardinals, trying to split this series. The good news is, well, they can't win a series, but if they split this and win tonight, they won't lose a series, which would be a change of pace from the last couple of series. It's Javier Assad, who's been the Cubs stopper, aside from Shota Imanaga, one of the best pitchers, not only on the Cubs, not only in the National League, but in all of baseball. He's 4-0 this season with a 1.70 ERA, but he's up against the Cardinals ace, Sonny Gray, who's 6-2 this year with a 2.87 ERA. He began the year on the injured list, but has come back right to form. Cardinals got him early in free agency last season, or last offseason, I should say, and he's been really good for the Redbirds so far. It'll be a tough game. 2 really good pitchers, a good pitching matchup, so we'll see what the Cubs are able to do and see if the Cubs are able to get back into the win column where you want them, where I want them, where we all want them to be. And if you guys have any questions or comments, throw them in the comment section. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in, commenting, listening, everything you guys do to make our channel such an awesome place to talk some Cubs baseball, our favorite team, and we love to bring you guys the content on a daily basis. Make sure to like, hit the bell, subscribe, so you know whenever we're dropping content talking about your favorite team. If anything breaks, don't hesitate to check out our channel, because we'll be right there with the latest on all things Cubs. That's what we do here for you, and hopefully the Cubs can start putting some more W's up on the scoreboard so we have some more fun things to talk about. For now, thank you guys so much for coming to the channel. We always love talking some Cubs baseball with you. Mick and I will be back tomorrow to recap the series with the Cardinals and preview the Memorial Day series with the Brewers. But thank you guys again. I'm Anthony Pasquale. Jump in that comment section. Let us know what you think. Unfortunately, Cubs fall again to the Cardinals yesterday, but today is a new day.